and welcome, I'm Hammeh, and in this series we're discovering the lore, backstories and characters of Overwatch's heroes. In this video we're looking at Sombra's story. Child hacker, gang runner and orphan, Sombra's done what she's had to survive in a Mexico devastated by the first OMNIC crisis. Whilst pursuing an insatiable curiosity as to how the world works and where the power truly lies behind the scenes, she eventually bit off more than she could chew. Learning from her mistakes, she grabbed some upgrades and is now hunting down the conspiracy that she believes ties the world together, using anyone, and everyone seemingly, to further her cause. After the manufacturing revolution that OMNIC Corporation had promised failed to materialise, the corporation was dissolved under a cloud of fraud. It was a surprise to everyone when their Omniums, the automated construction facilities powered by self-improving software, suddenly launched an attack on humanity, starting what became known as the First OMNIC Crisis. Against a hugely adaptable foe that couldn't be negotiated with, the conventional forces of the world struggled, with no country succeeding in securing its own territory fully. As fierce battles raged across the world from Russia to Korea, Germany to Detroit, the OMNIC armies brought hell on earth to wherever they chose to strike. Mexico was no different, and also suffered immensely in what they called La Medianoche. Even when Overwatch's strike team brought the crisis to an end, the world had to start rebuilding. Sombra was a child of this age. We still don't know her real name, but she was possibly around 4 years old when the crisis was finally brought to an end, and long before she took up her now infamous alias. As a young girl, she was amongst the thousands of children who were left orphaned in the aftermath. With much of Mexico's infrastructure destroyed, she survived by utilising her natural gifts with hacking and computers. Although she was good with technology, Sombra also learnt that people were just as easily manipulated too. In a dangerous world, she learnt that information could not only keep her safe, but give her power. Stealing money to get by, manipulating people who tried to control her, and more. The young girl rapidly found her skills, attracted attention. This led her to being taken in by Mexico's Los MUERTOS gang, where she aided in its self-styled revolution against the government. Los MUERTOS believed that the rebuilding of Mexico had primarily benefited the influential and rich, and left behind the people who were suffering most. Los MUERTOS as a gang is involved in a lot of different activities as we've seen since, and their true allegiance and motive remains unknown, although Sombra may have traced them to being allied with Americo, if this image is anything to go by. Following her many conquests, the increasingly competent hacker became so confident in her skills, she almost became compulsive with it in her personality. Picking any lock, opening any door, Sombra tried to take on any challenge that was in front of her, but she was caught unprepared when, whilst investigating the Mexican government in a lot of depth, she stumbled into a global conspiracy that affected many things in the Overwatch world. She was overconfident, got noticed, and the hornet's nest that she'd poked came after her. With her security irreparably compromised, she was forced to delete all traces of her existence and went into hiding. Having avoided this peril for now, Sombra took up her current alias, upgraded her skills, including physically augmenting herself. She no longer needed a terminal and returned to the net, determined to find out the truth behind the conspiracy that she'd uncovered. Sombra became a dangerous field agent in her own right, highly capable with a machine pistol in addition to her hacking talents. At some point, she also hacked either Winston's databases or Overwatch, as her translocator beacon is based on Winston's designs for Tracer's chronal accelerator. Able to hack enemies to temporarily stop them from using their abilities, become invisible for a short amount of time with her thumb optic camouflage, and with a translocator beacon that makes her able to instantly return to a previous location, even when it's in mid-flight. Sombra can also unleash a devastating EMP, discharging energy in a wide radius, destroying enemy barriers, shields, and hacking all opponents caught in the blast. In a post-OMNIC crisis world, many companies had sprung up to both help repair the damage, with some like Blizzcon Corporation also taking advantage of the chaos to cement their power, influence, control, and most importantly, profits. Continuing to chase and investigate the conspiracy that had attacked her, Sombra launched an even more audacious string of hacking, and her exploits earned her no shortage of admirers or attention, bringing her to the eventual attention of the notorious terrorist organisation TALON. Joining their ranks, Sombra contributed to massive cyber attacks against corporations with strong ties to local governments. In Egypt, recent to the present day, Reaper targeted Helix security in Egypt for reasons unknown, that could potentially be to do with the god AI that they were guarding underneath the Temple of Anubis. In the events of Anna's Old Soldiers comic, Sombra was supporting him to examine the data that had been recovered. Sombra took herself to even greater heights whilst working for TALON, including attempting to team up with her old gang, Los MUERTOS, inciting a popular revolution in Mexico against Numerico. It was centred on exposing what Sombra stated as corrupt activities from the company's CEO. The hacking culminated in crippling the country's new power network that Lumerico had created, and Portero resigned, vowing to clear his name. As with many things to do with Sombra, the precise truth of his and Lumerico's guilt or innocence remains unclear. Sombra also breached the security of Volskaya Industries, the manufacturing arm of Russia's anti-OMNIC defense, in order to help Talon, Widowmaker and Reaper attempt to assassinate Katia Volskaya, for reasons that remain unknown. In assassinating Toccata Mondata in the events of Alive, Talon has shown a definite interest in trying to stir anti-OMNIC tensions. Taking out the head of a company who is key in the defence of a huge country against the OMNIC crisis would also help stir more trouble in the second OMNIC crisis that threatens the world currently in the present day. Heading into the field with Reaper and Sombra in the events of infiltration, Sombra ended up in Volskaya Industries and engineered a meeting with Katia Volskaya, threatening to expose Volskaya for her acquisition of technology from what Sombra described as the OMNIC enemy. The hacker blackmailed Volskaya, not releasing the evidence in exchange for her being her friend and doing her some favours, to be specified in future. One of the world's most notorious hackers for many years, Sombra yet again used information to manipulate those in power. But how long will her insolence against Talon remain unchecked and unnoticed? And what will happen if the dangerous terrorist organisation finds out that she's spoiling their missions for her own gains? Sombra's out for herself, but what's her endgame? Perhaps the most unreliable narrator there is, according to Michael Chu in the Overwatch universe. Can we believe anything that Sombra says? What she'll get up to in the future, and whether this conspiracy is real, is anyone's guess. Thanks for tuning in to my Sombra hero lore summary. I usually do these with hero interactions and voice lines too. Check out all of those in the playlist here. Sombra's interactions and voice lines will follow, as well as a remastered version of this lore just as soon as I can access the files. If you like this video, do throw me a sub, like or a comment. I'd really appreciate it, it really helps me out. Keep an eye out on this channel or sub for more from Blizzcon 2016 and Overwatch news as it drops, including more on Sombra, my take on any Overwatch lore or other news that arises, panels and more. For my regular Overwatch lore series and bunches of other videos that I release, do check out the best bits in the playlists. Cheers for tuning in, I've been Hammeh, take it easy.